Your boy man Mike here, coming at you guys with yet another Atlanta Falcons video, and this is an interesting one. I got a lot of stuff for you guys. I think you might want to buckle up and really get happy about this. All right, there's a lot of information. Going to be going over quite a few things, but let's start with this. You have a few things that's going on right now. You're going to start with this one. This is a tweet from D. Orlando Ledbetter, and he goes on to state that there's a wide search as far as the Atlanta Falcons are concerned. They are letting it be known that, quote unquote, it will be a wide search. And one of these guys that a lot of people are expecting to be a part of this particular search is Brian Flores. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm not totally against Brian Flores, but I want to know for sure that this issue, as far as he is concerned, that this is behind him. That we don't have an issue when it comes down to these particular coaches. And let me say this, and I'm going to expand on that because I got another tweet that I kind of want to go over as far as some news is concerned. But Brian Flores, if you don't remember, he was the whistleblower when it came down to this situation with not only Tom Brady but the Miami Dolphins, where they wanted to go out of their way to tank, and it was not received well when it come down to the organization or what the NFL and a lot of these owners. I thought he was kind of, let's be honest, he was snitching. And I don't see it that way. I see it as, he doing exactly what was right. And, for one, a lot of African-American coaches don't get, a lot of chances. So to ask him to go out his way, I have no reason to doubt that he had any reason to lie. All right, obviously he was with Bill Belichick, and let's just be honest. Bill Belichick blew the whistle on Tom Brady. He pretty much caused this entire situation. So let's not, be naive and think that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady isn't behind this. He's obviously behind this. If he sent the text to the quote unquote wrong Brian. And Brian Flores got a text where it was basically said he got. So, like I said, Bill Belichick is behind a lot of this stuff. So, when it comes down to Brian Flores, it was a whole issue whether or not, he was snitching on the Miami Dolphins, and end up being that Tom Brady, Sean Payton, these guys conspired to get ownership of not only the Miami Dolphins, but these guys wanted to be players, coaches, owners, and have a stake in what they can and cannot do as far as the organization is concerned. So they wanted complete control as player, coaches, and executives. So anyone that opposed to what they did, they will be out of the league. They will ultimately be fired. So when it comes down to Tom Brady and his Brian Flores, it's a pretty messy situation. And, I'm not doubting the fact that this guy is a brilliant coach. He's a brilliant defensive mind. But is this something that you guys would like to deal with when it comes down to Brian Flores? Would you like Brian Flores to be the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator, knowing that there's a huge question mark as far as he is concerned. There's a baggage. Let's just be real. There's a baggage. You have a guy like Mike Tomlin who took on that responsibility. He took on that task and say, look, this guy's a great coach. He's going to continue to be a great coach, and I'm taking that on. So, do you think the Atlanta Falcons should take on Brian Flores as far as the defensive coordinator is concerned? Or these are some interesting things, and this is something that we actually talked about in the group when it comes down to the history of the Atlanta Falcons and their coaching, the coaching tree and players. Flores actually worked under 2 seasons in New England under Dean Pease. So that's a huge plus when it comes down to Brian Flores. He does have ties to Dean Pease, and Dean Pease obviously is one of he obviously retired, but he's a great teacher. So Brian Flores does have a resume. So again, if there's something that you guys are willing to take on, knowing that there is that baggage, that off the field baggage, and there's something that Arthur Blank, he doesn't like a lot of off the field issues. So again, would you consider that? Jerry Gray is also a guy that we talked about when it comes down to ties to coaches. Well, Jerry Gray actually is a guy that when Arthur Smith was learning how to be, on his path to ultimately be a coach. So Jerry Gray was actually one of those guys that taught Arthur Smith. So he's familiar with the scheme. He's familiar with Jerry Gray. Jerry Gray is obviously in Green Bay doing his thing. But what do you guys think about Jerry Gray being a coach and defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons? And Frank Bush, someone that's already on staff, he understands Dean Pease. He knows what Dean Pease, his scheme, his teaching, his mannerisms as far as his mindset when it comes down to game-to-game operations. So is Frank Bush a guy that you would want to be the defensive coordinator and take over defensive coordinator responsibilities for the Atlanta Falcons? Shout out to Devon, Corey, Julio Guzman, how you doing? Flores should replace Smith. I don't know about all that. I mean, again, this is my thing is what the question I have for you. What do you want from Arthur Smith? Because I hear this a lot. What were your expectations for Arthur Smith? Because a lot of people say, well, he should just be fired because the Falcons went 7-10. What were your expectations with this team? Again, we have an NFL staff that had an NFL record, $65+ million in dead cap hit. Money that they couldn't use to go out and sign players. Money that they couldn't use to bring more offensive weapons in. Money they couldn't use to bring in defensive players. So with those at the helm or those issues, what do you guys think that Arthur Smith could accomplish with those types of issues? And that's the question that I have for you, Julio. A lot of people say, like I said, the general consensus is that, Smith should be fired. He should be let go. Why do you think he should be let go? Again, there's not an NFL coach that has to deal with the issues that Arthur Smith has had to deal with. It's not one. There's only one player, there's only one team in the NFL that has to deal with what the Atlanta Falcons have had to deal with the restrictions as far as the salary cap is concerned, players that they could not bring back, guys that are aging, you ultimately had to trade them away, such as a Julio Jones and a Matt Ryan, and we know that now why the Falcons made those decisions. But why do you think that Arthur Smith should be replaced by Brian Flores? Now, granted that Brian Flores is a good defensive coach, but what has he proven? He's proven that he's a good defensive coach, but he hasn't proven that he's a championship coach. He's been with a championship organization and Bill Belichick, but you got to remember, Mike Vrabel was also with Bill Belichick. Dean Pease was actually with Bill Belichick. So those are those ties to Bill Belichick. And to say that Arthur Smith doesn't understand championship pedigree is just not right. It's not right at all. So again, when you look at an offense that is they're top 10 in run blocking, they're top 5 in rushing, they're a top pass blocking team. They're one of the worst pass catching, just the passing game in entirety. They're one of the worst. So again, why do we say that Arthur Smith needs to be replaced? And that's something that I still haven't gotten an answer on. So if anybody can answer that for me, so be it. But like I said, you got Jerry Gray, Frank Bush, Brian Flores. All right, also out of the NFL, you have the Colts. And I think this is poppycock. I'm just going to be real. What's the point of bringing in Jeff Saturday if you ultimately going to fire him? Like, I don't know what the hell's going on in Indianapolis. I think this is just an absolute atrocity. That dude, look, I'm going to just be honest. They need to get that. Jim Irsay is a disgrace. All right, he's just an absolute disgrace. He's about as bad as that dude in Washington, whose name escapes me right now. He's just absolutely ridiculous. What's up, Tony? How you doing? But he's absolutely ridiculous. There's absolutely no reason for the Indianapolis Colts to be interviewing Eric Bieniemy if they're not going to be serious about it. I just don't think that they're going to take him seriously. I don't think they're going to hire him. I think they're going to beat around the bush, and they are, they're just doing this to meet a quota. And quite frankly, I hope Eric Bieniemy gets the job. I think he knows enough, and he's been around Andy Reid to kind of understand what it takes to build not only a great offense but a team. So he's been in the league. He's been a successful player for the most part. He's a pretty good role player. Like I said, he understands that the team needs balance in order to be successful. But to have a guy like Eric Bieniemy, interview for the Colts, man. If I were him, I would just leave. I would take the interview, but these guys are not serious. They're not serious. Indianapolis Colts is an absolute disgrace, to be honest. And they should be. Jim Irsay should be fined for what he put that organization through. And look, the players through. Not only the organization, but the players. That like I said, that team is just absolutely disgusting. What they doing to Matt Ryan is just disgusting. What they doing to those players is just disgusting. He don't give a damn about the players. He don't give a damn about the coaches. He just wants what he wants. He's a fucking tyrant. He's a dictator right now, and is going on doing whatever the hell he feels like. So, that's another thing. Falcons are not traditionally successful franchise. Marginal fans are reactionary to the least and greatest fans because we are traditionally bad. Smith is old school. Smith is a couple more years. Fontenot will get us a Lombardi. I mean, let's keep one thing real. One of the things is that one of the things that I think is a myth is that I think is concerning for me is that the Falcons or any team has always been a winning franchise. And that's a myth. You look at the Patriots, they've not always been a winning franchise. You look at the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, they've been more consistent than most teams, but they haven't always been a winning franchise. You look at the Steelers for the most part. Yeah, they had their run in the 70s, but if you look at their history, it's just the 70s. These guys have been consistent as far as winning season more than most teams, but they still have their struggles. You look at the 49ers. The 49ers have been more consistent than other teams, but they've had their struggles also. So the reason why I'm saying this is that there's nothing wrong with being able, it's nothing wrong with losing. It's how you lose, in my opinion. All right? There's nothing wrong with losing, but it's how you lose. If you don't have the right personnel, that's fine. But when you have an organization and there's turmoil from the very top, you have an organization that you have owners that don't want to spend money. They don't want to hire the right guys. This is what the Falcons were pre-Arthur Blank. So it's really the mindset for me when it comes down to organizations. You have a plan, you stick to that plan, and you try to bring in the right coaches. Well, this is something that the Atlanta Falcons have struggled with in the last couple of years, is they've been playing musical chairs at the the coaching position. They have no defined pre-Thomas Dimitroff, the Falcons had an idea of what they wanted to do, and that was largely due to the fact that Rich McKay was a winning general manager, and he knew what it takes to be a winner. So you had guys up top that understood that a plan needed to be put in place, and we need to stick with that plan. Well, Thomas Dimitroff never stuck with a plan, which led to the Falcons consistently being inconsistent. So one of the things that the 49ers have done for the most part, the Steelers, these guys have always had an identity, and they stuck with that identity. This is something that the Atlanta Falcons are getting back to. We're going to play defense, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to be tough. If you stick to that plan, the player development is going to be, the player development part is going to be easy. But it's easier when you have a plan. But when you consistently switch up the plan for 1 year, you want to be a wide zones running scheme, you want to be a passing game, you want to be a balanced team, and then 1 year you want to be led by the defense, you want to go out and spend money on all defensive players, and then the next year you want to go out and draft a bunch of wide receivers and offensive linemen. You just got to have a plan. And there was no plan with Thomas Dimitroff. It was just, let's put as many pieces around Matt Ryan to get what he wants, and hopefully we can have a good enough defense that can get us to the next level. And never really invested into other aspects. And this is what, the San Francisco, the Steelers, they never not invest into the defense. They always invest into the defense. So, like I said, it's sticking with that plan, and and going with that. This is something that I also wanted to talk about when it comes down to the NFL and player development. And one of the things that I said before, and before I get to that, I agree with you, Mike. The Colts are just blowing smoke with interviews. Yeah, man. Like I said, Jim Irsay is just an absolute disgrace. Like he's a drug addict who just got way too much power and got way too much money. I'm just gonna be honest. That's just my personal opinion. The dude, he's just irrational. You look at him, he looks like he's high. He looked like he's been on drugs for 30 years. Like he just looked like an addict with a bunch of money. And it's just not right. It's not cool. You can look at the organization in the last few years and say to yourself, it's helter-skelter. It's all over the place. They don't know what the hell they want to be from year to year. So, like I said, if Jim Irsay decides he want to retire, that'll be the best thing for the coach. It'll be the best player. It'll be the best thing for the organization, for him to be pretty much voted out, if there was a case, if there was a way they could do that. But yeah, Jim Irsay needs to go. No player should be able to have to succumb to those types of issues because he's all over the place. I mean, we should have a Lombardi. I mean, look, my thing is, I don't think just because you make it to the playoff that you should be guaranteed a Lombardi. It's a lot of teams that made it to the Super Bowl, and a large part of making to the playoffs and making it to a Super Bowl is luck. Gotta have luck, man. Let's keep it real. You gotta have a lot of luck, and you gotta have some friends in high places that kind of give you breaks. Let's just keep that real. Some of the great players and some of the great teams got friends in high places, and they'll eat a whistle. You know, they'll let a close call go. They'll not call close things. So it's like you gotta have friends in high places. Let's just keep that real. The Steelers have friends in high places. The 49ers have friends in high places. The Patriots have friends in high places. And these guys pretty much run the NFL. So one thing about the Atlanta Falcons don't have a lot of friends in high places because when you look at their, organization, they don't really have a lot of Hall of Famers. Most of the Hall of Famers that the Falcons do come from other teams, or they left to go to another team. So you gotta have, like I said, you gotta have friends in high places, man, in order to get lucky enough to win championships. The great teams are lucky, and the teams like the Atlanta Falcons, they're unlucky. We didn't get a few calls to go our way in the NFC Championship against the 49ers. We damn sure didn't get any calls to go for us with the Super Bowl championship. We got a terrible break when the ball was like half an inch away from the ground from, I believe it was Edelman, catching the ball off. So like these are the types of things. Like even that touchdown, on the last play, I think that I honestly think the Falcons stopped them, but they didn't replay it, and they called a touchdown. So again, these are the things that great teams get. They get lucky. Falcons are just an unlucky team, man. And like I said, a lot of and Devon and the media plays a huge part of having friends in high places. We just don't have friends in high places. The Falcons should try to sign Denzel Mims, 6'3", 215, once they release him. Will be a compliment to Drake as a number 2. I'm actually going to get to that. Wide receiver. Well, let me get to that. Well, I can find that. Well, here you go. So this is something that I wanted to talk about. When it comes down to whether or not, now this is a controversial take. I know a lot of people may not agree with this. Some will agree with this, but I'm just going to be honest. One of the things when you look at this Falcons offense, in my opinion, that they lack, it's not talent, it's not play calling. I think they lack the swagger. I think they really lack the swagger on this team. I think they lack toughness as far as the wide receiver core is concerned. Now, I'm not saying that eliminating the kids isn't tough, but you wouldn't necessarily say, all right, you get on the field, yeah, I'm scared of him. I think a guy like Denzel Mims he has size, he has the ideal size to be able to play in Arthur Smith's scheme. And you look at how Desmond Ridder throws the ball. He likes to throw the ball to bigger receivers. So if you don't have a large catch radius, it's going to be kind of difficult as a receiver to play in this particular scheme. It's going to be difficult to be able to play in this game. So what am I saying? I think the Falcons should really consider going after DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I know this is completely left for me, and we talk about money, but I think when you look at DeAndre Hopkins, man, like this dude is attitude personified. And what I think that Drake needs is a guy like DeAndre Hopkins to help him take his game to the next level. Now, granted, that I truly believe that Desmond Ridder is going to do that, but I think this Falcons team with DeAndre Hopkins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I think these guys could be an absolute nightmare. I really believe that if you make a trade for DeAndre Hopkins, try to find a way that you can get Arizona to eat a little bit of that cap space, so you won't be paying him at least I think it's about $34 million, 2 years for $34 million. So that's about $22 million. That's about 16.5, about 16.5, somewhere in there, 16.5. So it'll be about 16, 15. If you can get them to eat about 2 or 3 million of that, I think that'd be a great trade for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, what I would do, I would definitely trade. You're going to get the pick. We're going to at least get a second or third round for the Calvin Ridley pick, depending on how many yards and if he gets the extension with the Jaguars. So I think what I would do, I would trade a second or third round pick and maybe a fifth and a fourth the following year to bring in DeAndre Hopkins and pair him with Kyle Pitts, London. I think that'd be scary, man. D-Hop, London, Kyle Pitts, and then, in my opinion, you bring in another tight end because Michael Pruitt, he's doing a wonderful job, but he doesn't exhibit that athleticism that you necessarily need. And he, like I said, he's a wonderful player. I think the Falcons are definitely going to bring him back. So it's not a shot at him, but if you bring in a younger tight end that could be able to, add that athleticism at the tight end position to go with the couple with Kyle Pitts, and use Kyle Pitts on the outside a lot more. I think that offense will be damn good. So I know the Arizona, the Titans, are a team expected to go after him, as well as the Texans. Not the Texans, but the Titans are a team that expected to go after him. And quite a few teams are expected to go after him. So, like I said before, when you look at D-Hop, man, if you get them to eat a couple $1 million, I think that's a trade for the Atlanta Falcons. That's something that should be, that at least should be looked at. Now, granted, if he's injury prone or he has an injury that is kind of holding him back, I would still take that. I would still take that trade on the notion that the Falcons need veteran leadership. And you still have Kyle Pitts carrying the team. You would still have a young Drake London, and then you have a veteran in D-Hop when games get tough, when we need someone to make a play, D Hop could be that guy. So you wouldn't have to use him as much during the course of the season. You could just ride Drake London. You could ride Kyle Pitts. So me personally, I'm calling the Arizona Cardinals to see if I could get the pick. I can see what I could do with get DeAndre Hopkins. What do you guys think about that? But yeah, like I said, I'm not giving. Obviously, I'm not getting up a high second. I'm getting up for a lower second, and like I said, you're going to get a pick or two from the Jaguars because of the Calvin Ridley trade, obviously. But like I said, I think that's the like I said, that's the thing with the. He's got 2 performance-enhancing drug suspensions. Also have injury in the cup. Like I said, man, look, you know there's going to be issues. But like I said, man, I'm taking that chance because, like in my opinion, I think this is what the Atlanta Falcons need. They need somebody who's willing to break. Look, I'm tired of these goody two-shoes. I'm just be one. Look, I need some players that gonna tote the line, bro. I need some players that gonna tote the line. He gonna push things, and D Hop is the type of guy that, like, look, you know he gonna play with attitude. You know he gonna play with swagger. So when he is healthy, and I think a lot of those things too. When you look at him having a performance-enhancing drug, a lot of that come with injury. So, like I said, I'm not foolish enough to think that, you know, there won't be any issues. But it's a 2-year deal. You can still be able. It's not a deal where it's gonna last you for 3-4 years. It's 2 years. So, I don't think that's too much of a risk. It's better than spending $40 million on a quarterback. I'm just saying. I'd rather spend $16 than $40 million on a quarterback. You can get that $16 million back. Cam Dukes, how much you think D Hop has left in the tank? I mean, I don't think. Look, if you looking for D Hop to be a prime D Hop, obviously he's not that anymore. But what you're asking him in Atlanta to do, or any other team, you're asking D Hop to be at least half of himself, to make plays when necessary. And this is what you saw in Roddy Wright when it was Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez. You were just asking Roddy to just make plays when it was necessary. So this is what you asking for him. So I don't think it's a matter of how much he has in the tank. I think you're bringing D Hop to your team, and even if it's not the Atlanta Falcons, anybody who's going to bring D Hop in, you're bringing him in for 2 things: to be a veteran leader and to contend for a championship. I.e., how the Rams did with Odell Beckham Jr. You didn't bring him in to be a superstar. You brought Odell Beckham to come in and be a part of a team. That's why you bringing in the D Hop. That's why you bringing in the Odell Beckham. Now, I know he's had his issues as far as, again, the performance enhances drugs he had. He's had an attitude. Wide receivers are a bit of a diva. They're a bit of a diva. So let's not make a mistake and say that he is. There's not a risk, but there's always a risk when it comes down to these veteran wide receivers. Anything going away. But like I said, when you have young guys that need to be taught, like a Drake London, to be a receiver and what it takes to be and what not to do, obviously what not to do, these are the things that D Hop can provide for your team. D-Hop can still separate. Like I said, he can still separate. I seen last year. It may have been this year. But I saw this year him, going up, doing the D-Hop thing, going over, snatching balls out of the air. And like I said, these are the things he will fit perfectly with the Atlanta Falcons. His toughness, his ability to go up and get the ball. He has strong hands. He can still separate. Like I said, we're not asking him to be the same D-Hop, the prime D-Hop. You bring him in to be a piece of a puzzle. The Jags pick is really just depends on how many yards Calvin really. I think it could go at least a second. But that's largely due if he has one of them breakout seasons where he get like 1,300 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you can get a wide receiver in the draft. I mean, yeah, you can, but look, the Falcons already got young receivers. Falcons are trying to go to the next level, which is winning. You're not going to win bringing a young wide receiver in. Falcons are trying to win championships. In my opinion, bringing a young wide receiver in is going to do one thing: set them back. Because you got to wait for this young wide receiver to finally get it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because do we know what Drake is Drake London ready to be a superstar next year in his second year? Is he ready to carry this team next year? Do we know that Kyle Pitts is ready to carry this team next year? Do we know Kyle Pitts is going to be is he going to be healthy next year? These are the questions. So for me, yeah, I'm getting a young wide receiver, but I'm getting him at least the third and fourth round. Now, I'm not saying that the Falcons are completely ignoring the fact that that we may need to upgrade the wide receiver, but I don't think the Falcons are in a position where they need to get a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. The Falcons need to double up on defense. Falcons need to double up on defense, and that's real. So yeah, like I said, that's something when you look at this team that the Falcons look. Having a young team is all okay. I'm trying to figure out what you mean, like, bro, missed like 5 guys in the end zone. Like, what do you mean he missed 5 guys in the end zone? Kind of confused by that. Yeah, I'm kind of confused by that. Bro missed 5 people in the end zone game winner last year. Oh, Moss. Okay, I got it. I was okay. All right, I was confused. I was like, miss. Yeah. All right, I thought you were talking about Desmond Ritter. All right, my bad. Yeah, like I said, D-Hop fits perfectly into what the Atlanta Falcons do. He's the perfect fit for the Atlanta Falcons. The toughness, the attitude, the aggression that he plays. He's a nice blocker. D-Hop fits perfectly in this team. But there's a money issue. Do the Atlanta Falcons want to pay $16 million to a wide receiver? So what I would think about doing it if I was the Atlanta Falcons, and hear me out with this, what I would do It's $32 million on his contract, left on his contract. 2 years, $30 million. How about the Falcons either backload his contract, promise him in year 2 that he's able to get another, let's say, how about we just front load that this year, front load all that money, and then in year 2, he's playing in a contract somewhere between $10 million and $13 million. I'll front load that money. So I'll immediately extend his, give him one of those deals where you extend, you front load his contract, and then the next, kind of what we did with Debo, you put like team options on whether or not he wants the Falcons want to end up renegotiating his contract and start pushing money back and add those them option years back. So it's things it's ways you can get around his contract. He's not guaranteed. Like his thing is, at this age, I don't think D Hop has a lot of say so as far as what he can and cannot do. You're making a lot of money, and a lot of these teams today, they're not willing to pay the old beat up wide receivers, and no disrespect to him, because I still think he has something left, but they're not willing to, pay these wide receivers $30-20 million to miss a few games. Like if you're gonna play that money, yeah, you gonna play, or they gonna end up getting rid of it. So yes, D Hop is the guy that I would definitely think about bringing in. And like I said, the Falcons have money. They have a lot of money. They can kind of make some things happen. And Terry Fontenot has been known to be he's been known to be a cap guru. So like I said, I think D Hop is the perfect wide receiver right now for the Atlanta Falcons. He could teach Kyle Pitts. He could teach Drake London so much, because likely for the most part, the best of his career is behind him. And I think Jabri, hope I'm saying your name right. Forgive me if I am. But Jabri, I think adding incentives and things like that. Like I said, there are ways you can get past that 2-year, $34 million. So it's not something that's guaranteed. And I'm positive that he would want. And I'm going to get to these free agents, so you guys stay tuned for this free agent. But let me talk about this. This is the reason why we talk about Tom Brady needs to get out of the NFL. Insider Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk reported that one source with general knowledge of the Bucs' Tom Brady said the Dolphins are definitely on the table as a future landing spot. Brady is set to become an unrestricted free agent in 2023. This is what we're talking about the integrity of the game should be protected. And if the NFL were right, if the NFL had any doubts, or if they had any integrity about themselves, they will force Tom Brady to get the fuck up out of the NFL. Yeah, I said that. They will force Tom Brady to get the hell up out of the NFL. Because what you don't know is that this is one of the reasons why Brian Flores, he's being blackballed, is because he was ultimately the whistleblower of this issue with Tom Brady. Brian Flores is pretty much the whistleblower. All right, he pretty much brought all attention to the Miami Dolphins trying to go out of their way to tank so they can get a ton of picks, bring in Tom Brady. He be the a president or a general manager and have all the say so when it comes down to a player having a say-so and a stake in as a front office guy. And then not only that, it was said that Sean Payton was supposed to link up with Tom Brady in Miami to coach him. And if you don't know about Sean Payton doesn't want to coach if he doesn't have a stake in as an owner and a team. So this is why we looking at the NFL and we're looking at Tom Brady is NFL, you need to do the right thing. The integrity of the game is at stake. Again. And it's the same person. It's the same person. We saw it this year, live in effect in Atlanta Falcons. The power that Tom Brady has over these refs, the power that he has over the NFL, they don't want to do the right thing. They want to make sure that Tom Brady looks cute, that Tom Brady looks great. He knows that. And that's nothing the players can do, that's nothing the fans can do. The NFL has to make the decision to say to themselves, it's like, look, it's over with. It's over with, Tom. You're damn near 50 years old. Give it up. So, like I said before, man, y'all stay, keep an eye on that. That's something that for me, Tom Brady needs to go. Like I said, he needs to go, and there shouldn't be, at this point, you still shouldn't be thinking about whether or not Tom Brady is gonna, pull some shit that's gonna not only, force Tua Tagovailoa out of the league, because they're going, if Tom Brady is a free agent, they're going to trade Tua. A guy that's played pretty well for them, they just going to end up getting rid of him because of a 50-year-old quarterback. The Miami Dolphins is ready to whore themselves for a 50-year-old quarterback. It's quite disgusting at this point. And the only thing, sad to say it, that's going to force Tom Brady out is one of these damn players decide, fuck Tom Brady, I'm taking his knees out. I'm ending his career. And I'm doing it on purpose. Because the NFL is scared to do anything. They don't want to talk bad about their precious golden boy. The players, his former teammates, don't want to talk ill about this guy. We just had this damn dude from Tampa Bay suck his dick so hard. And the interview said that's not a player in the NFL that I don't want to go to war with other than Tom Brady. Man, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Why is it that everybody who's ever played with this guy has nothing negative to say about him? Nothing. When there's been cheating scandal after cheating scandal after cheating scandal, no one never has anything to say about this guy. Just go fucking home, man. It's a damn circus. Everywhere you go, Tom Brady, it's a damn circus. So like I said, man, look, like Brady gonna cry, gonna cry. Look, this like I said, the only way I see Tom Brady going up, he's gonna have to go out on the stretcher. I'm sad to say it. Tom Brady gonna have to end up on the stretcher. This man has ruined his own marriage. He's ruined his life because he's so addicted to football. It's not even addicted to football. Let's keep that real. He's not addicted to football. He's addicted to the power that he has over the NFL. That's the real reason why he doesn't want to quit. Because if he goes home, he knows he's not going to have that attention, and he knows he's not going to have, people drooling over him like that. That's the real reason why Tom Brady doesn't want to leave. The man is damn near 50 years old, 45, 46. Why the fuck are you still playing football? Why the hell are you still playing football in your mid to late 40s? What are we talking about? He's addicted to the power. It is not about the love of the game. because they call the games exactly how other teams get called, Tom Brady would have retired 10 years ago. If he got the Matt Ryan treatment, he would be retired 10 years ago. If he got the Phillip Rivers treatment, he would have retired 10 years ago. If he got the Eli Manning treatment, he would have retired 10 years ago. The man is addicted to the power. He's not addicted to the game and all this bullshit that they selling y'all, saying that he just loves the game so much. No, he doesn't. He loves the power. The refs, the fans, the media, the NFL officials, they suck him off so hard. This is the reason why he doesn't want to go. But let's get to these free agents, man. These are a few free agents that I want to kind of get my take on it. Most of these guys are defensive guys. So the first one here is obviously Justin Houston. All right, Justin Houston is a guy, I think the Falcons at this point, what I would do, I would go get a young guy. Obviously the Falcons have young edge guys, but I would get an edge guy maybe in the, the late, maybe the fourth to, probably about the fourth round on down. Go get an edge guy in the fourth round, and sign a guy like Justin Houston, bring him in for a year or two, and have him, tutor guys like Arnold Ebiketie, Ogum Deji, D'Angelo Malone. Teach these guys how to properly, how to get after the quarterback. Teach them what you've been taught all these years. So I think Justin Houston is a guy that you can focus on. He at this point, I think he's 33 years old, so he'll be able to be a guy that you can bring in to be a veteran pass rusher for the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of have that Adrian Claiborne, Dwight Freeney role like he had in 2016 to help mentor a guy like, then a Vic Beasley. So I think bring him in, he'd be a good signing. Mecole Hardman is actually another guy. I think the Falcons, in his position, they need a guy like Mecole Hardman who could do a multitude of things. Mecole is not only a pretty good wide receiver, but he's a dangerous punt returner, kick returner. He's a gadget guy. You could put him in, throw a few reverses here. Obviously, he's a deep threat, so the Falcons will have that added dimension to their offense where they got speed all over the field, and not only with Kyle Pitts, who's a tight end / wide receiver. I'm just more so Kyle Pitts is just a weapon. So you can do all sorts of things with a Mecole Hardman and kind of use Cordero Patterson sparingly as a running back, wide receiver in the slot. You can do a number of things. So I think Mecole Hardman is a guy you can focus on. Dalvin Tomlinson, I think he's another guy. When you look at the interior, the Falcons obviously need guys in the middle of the field that's going to be able to help get pressure with Grady. They need inside pressure badly. So Dalvin Tomlinson is a guy you want to look, bro. I'm on it. That's exactly what I'm on. I got you, Robert. I got you, bro. So Dalvin Tomlinson is a guy I think you can look out as far as a possible signing for the Atlanta Falcons. He's not gonna, break the bank, but you're gonna bring him in for a few dollars. So I think Dalvin Tomlinson is a guy. Obviously, he's a pressure guy. They need pressure guys against, outside of Grady, kind of spell him or two. Grady plays a high level of snap, so I don't want to, overuse Grady. Obviously, Grady's he's still a young guy, but at some point in time, you want to kind of calm down, give him a break or two, kind of like the Rams do with Aaron Donald. Spare him, bring him in also. Javon Hargrave is a guy too. I think this dude, seeing him playing in Philadelphia, man, playing next to Fletcher Cox, I think he's a problem. He wreaked havoc against this Falcon team, and when we played against them, I believe last year, this dude was an absolute terror and a force. He absolutely destroyed us, and he was a nightmare. He was just killing our guards and centers. So I think Javon Hargrave is a guy that you can kind of focus on, man. Obviously, he got 10 sacks, so I don't know if I don't know if you're going to pay him big money, but he's going to get good enough money. So Javon Hargrave is a guy to pay on. Obviously, Daron Payne. I'm not looking at Daron Payne. I think the Falcons are in a position where they can pay Daron Payne a massive amount of money. Obviously, I think it's an absolute farce. I'm going to just be real. It's an absolute farce, a disgrace to have this guy missing the Pro Bowl and have Aaron Donald, who obviously did not have a great year, a typical Aaron Donald year, and he still ended up making the Pro Bowl based on his popularity and his history. Daron Payne need to be a Pro Bowl. There's no reason why he shouldn't have been a Pro Bowler. So Daron Payne, I think he's going to get close to $20 million a year as a defensive tackle. He's going to want a massive contract, and I'm not sure if the Washington Commanders are going to bring him back or tag him, but he's the guy that can go out there. I doubt it. They have, Allen, so they could quite possibly pass on Daron Payne. We'll see how that goes. They might want to franchise tag him and kind of negotiate a contract with him. See how that goes. But Daron Payne is a guy that you can kind of focus on. Daniel Jones. Yeah. I think this is really going to surprise a hell of a lot of people. I think Daniel Jones is a guy that you can bring in and for whatever reason, let's just say what if? Let's just say Desmond Ridder just doesn't get it. He doesn't take it to the next step, and he struggles mightily in the first couple of games of the year. And then you go out and get a guy like Daniel Jones, a quarterback, who has the athleticism. I think if you look at him, I think he's similar with the playing style with a guy, his former player in Ryan Tannehill, as well as a guy like Desmond Ridder. Similar stature, similar playing styles, athletic enough where he can, obviously we remember the long run when he ended up tripping over his feet, but he has the athleticism. He has an athleticism, so I would bring him in for a nice backup role. And, like I said, if for whatever reason Desmond Ridder end up struggling, you got a nice backup. You got a nice backup to come in and kind of, win a few games if something happens to Desmond Ridder or he struggles for one thing. Because, to be honest, I don't trust young quarterbacks. Especially when the Falcons are going to go into this season. They're going to try to go into next season to win. So in my opinion, if you're going to win, you got to at least have a veteran backup. Now, I know a lot of people are wondering to themselves, well, why don't we just keep Marcus Mariota? Well, I think that ship is sailed. I think if you look at Mariota and look at the money that that the Falcons could save, about $12 million by cutting him, he'll end up cutting him. And I know a lot of people have stated that, what if we cut him, bring him back to a lesser deal? Well, if that's possible, that's possible. But I don't know if there's some ill will as far as the players concerned and how they view Marcus Mariota, how Arthur Smith views Marcus Mariota, because there's a lot of people, including myself, who think that he quit on the team. So maybe you might want to bring him in to be a backup behind Desmond Ridder. Like I said, I don't know. But I'm not totally 100% against bringing Mariota back to be a backup. But I just don't think he would want that particular role. Just my opinion. So Daniel Jones is a guy you can kind of throw that. Josh Jacobs. I know a lot of people looking at me cross-eyed right now. But I think he will be a nice piece next to Tyler Algier. You have a guy in Tyler Algier who's obviously the workhorse for the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to put up a lot. He's going to have a lot of carries. And bringing in a guy like Josh Jacobs, he's a guy with a little bit of speed. He got speed. He runs with power. But if you pair him with a coach like Arthur Smith, that's going to preach, run hard, and they have a better offensive line. Let's just keep that real. The Falcons have a better offensive line, in my opinion, than the Raiders. They have a better running game. They have a better scheme. They have a better offensive line than the Raiders. So I think you bring him in, have him be a backup, and have that 1-2 punch, that 1-2-3 punch, in my opinion, and Josh Jacobs, Tyler Algier, and Cordero Patterson, and you end up bringing in a rookie running back, and kind of groom him to be that speed guy that we need, that can catch the ball out of the backfield, and pair him with Avery Williams, and then you have your four running backs right there. Marcus Davenport is actually a unique name. Now, I only brought him up, and I know a lot of people looking at me like I'm freaking insane right now, but Marcus Davenport is an interesting name for the simple fact that he has a history with the general manager, Terry Fontenot. Now, I'm not saying that Terry Fontenot was instrumental in drafting him, but we still have to at least hear this out because he is a former Saint. Now, he's a first-round pick. Obviously, he is a guy that is he's been an absolute bust. And I'm going to just be real. He's been an absolute bust. And maybe, Terry Fontenot want to bring him in, put him in a new scheme, put him in a new system, and put him in a position where he can be a part of a pass rush platoon. You have an AK, Marcus Davenport, you have Ogum Deji, D'Angelo Malone, and maybe you draft a guy. I doubt Will Anderson to be there for the Atlanta Falcons at 8. I think he's gonna go in the first three. So the first three picked. But yeah, you pair him, put him in a rotation with those guys, and see if he can, do something. Obviously, he has the nice size. Obviously, he has the talent, but for whatever reason, much like a Tack McKinley, most of these guys just never find that groove. So at least you can see what he can do. But Marcus Davenport been thrown in there on the simple fact that he has familiarity with Terry Fontenot. Now, Yannick Ngakoue is another interesting name also. Obviously, you just bringing him in for pass rush. Nothing more, nothing less. The Falcons need as many bodies that they possibly can to bring these guys in and see if they can help this Atlanta Falcons pass rush. Now, one thing, if you have not seen the video earlier that I dropped this morning, Charles McDonald stated that the Falcons haven't had a pass rush in at least 10 years. All right, let's just keep that real. The Falcons have not had a pass rush in 10 years, and bringing in a guy like Yannick Ngakoue is going to help the Falcons get a pass rush. The Falcons need to get a pass rush. So at this point in time, in my opinion, you can't say no to anybody. Yannick Ngakoue can do at least something. We need guys who can at least get their 3 to 4 sacks. This guy can do that for you. So Yannick Ngakoue is another guy that you kind of keep on your radar. So he had 9.5 sacks this year. And like I said, this is another guy. Obviously, he know he got the size. Obviously, know he got the talent. But see what he can do. Bring him in for 2-3 years. And pair him with Grady, pair him with AK, and pair him with a young defensive tackle or defensive edge guy. And like I said, we need guys. We need to go all out on the defensive end, on the defensive line this year. We have to. This is a must. So Yannick Ngakoue is another guy. Brandon Graham. This is an interesting one. He's 34 years old. Another one of those guys in Philadelphia. These guys play in the wide nine scheme, so they're used to just getting after the quarterback. Let's get after the quarterback at all costs. So Brandon Graham is a guy that you can plug up inside. You can also plug him inside, outside. And like I said, pass rush. Gotta be able to get pass rush. And we need an older guy that's been there and done that to be able to teach our young guns, AK-47, Arnold Ebiketie, D'Angelo Malone, Ogum Deji, to be able to teach these young guys how to get after the quarterback. All right, so Brandon Graham is another guy that I have. So when it all comes down to it, man, these are the free agents that I've, looked at. I may do some offensive guys, but we're definitely going to do the draft. And when it all comes down to it, man, like I said, it comes down to being able to get help. The Falcons need help on the defensive line. They gotta get pass rush. We can no longer continue to ignore it. Grady's getting pissed off. Grady's getting upset. He needs help. He wants help. And I don't know how much longer we're going to keep him quiet. Where he's going to not. And it's not just Grady's here. The fans are tired of not having a damn pass rush. So at this point in time, with this $80 million in salary cap, the Falcons got to go all out, people. Fuck a wide receiver. To hell with the offensive lineman. We need to go get an offense. We need to go get a defensive line. We got to get a pass rush. It is not acceptable to have 20 sacks back-to-back seasons. It's not acceptable, people. It needs to change. It must change. It has to change. If the Falcons are going to contend for a championship, you can no longer ignore the defensive line. You can no longer ignore the defensive line. So if you got to go out and pay a Yannick Ngakoue, an older Brandon Graham, a Marcus Davenport, you got to at least try. The problem with the Atlanta Falcons is we going out getting people that we've never freaking heard of ever. Who the hell are most of these guys? No disrespect to Abdullah Anderson, but nobody knew who the hell he was. We gotta go and get these pass rushers. Now, there was an article that I was reading that the Falcons tried their best to move up to the number 2 spot to get Chase Young, but Washington just wasn't here. So the Falcons have tried to get players, but I think this is a year that they're going to go all out. Not only in free agency, but the draft. I think this is the year. I think this is the year the Falcons really go in free agency and the draft and say, look, let's improve this defense. We got to improve the defensive line because you got a young stud at corner and AJ Terrell. So you don't have to worry about that for at least the next couple of years or so. The Falcons must go all out. So if you guys got any questions at this point, I'll start answering a few more questions and then I'll close it out. But like I said, this is the new format that you're going to get from me, man. We're going to start talking about all sports and not outside, not just Atlanta Falcons, just all over. Yeah, Corey, you might lose the locker room bringing Mariota back. Like I said, me personally, I just don't. I don't know how. I don't care how much you want to spin it. Everybody say, well, he came back to the facility and emptied his locker. Look, he wasn't there on the field. Kyle Pitts was hopping on crutches to support his teammates. What the fuck was Mariota? Excuse my language, but where the hell was Mariota? Nowhere to be found. Michael Vick was being wheelchair. He broke his leg. Guess what? Arthur Blank pushed him on a wheelchair on the field to support his team. So don't give me this nonsense about Mariota, his knee hurt and all this. Look, get there. Michael Vick did it with a broken damn foot. Kyle Pitts did it with a torn MCL. Get your ass on the field and support. Get on the sideline and support your team. Period, point blank. That's it. So I don't want to hear all these excuses about how Mariota had a baby and all this nonsense. Get out of here with that. It's only a couple of hours. Fly to Atlanta and then fly back home. But you could have been there at least one game to support your team, and 2 games he wasn't there. Now, I know there's rules, which isn't true, because obviously Kyle Pitts he's on IR, but he still was there to support his team. So the rules aren't so strict where you can't support your team. You can still be on IR and then come to a game and support your team. He was not there. So you may just lose the locker room by bringing him back. But like I said, that's something that, I'll leave that up to Arthur Smith. Well, I kind of read, Robert, I already kind of read my favorite. But if I were to go and just say one guy free agency, I got to say Mecole Hardman. Falcons need that versatility on offense. I think versatility is something that they need to get, more of. But Mecole Hardman is my free agent target. What D tackles would you want Terry to draft? Well, that's coming. Kev and I, K Styles and I, we're gonna do a draft show. But one guy, I'll say that I'm interested in is Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy is really growing on me. And another guy, and Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson is a violent pass rusher. He doesn't have a lot of move, but he's violent as hell. He reminds me of a Reggie White type of pass rusher. Like, he's just violent. And his closing speed for a guy of about 6'6", 275, you put put 10 pounds on him, he's an Aaron Donald. You put him in the middle and say, get after the quarterback, put him on the outside, he can move. He's an Aaron Donald. Because a lot of people don't realize Aaron Donald really is not that big. Yeah, they list him at 300, but he's like 290. He's about the same size as Grady. Both of Grady, Grady's just a little bit stocky, small. He's just shorter. But both of those guys, Aaron Donald and Grady Jerry, is about 290. So you draft a guy like Myles Murphy, you could put him on the outside, you put him on the inside and passing down. Obviously, you don't want Myles Murphy playing consistently in the middle as far as the run game is concerned, but you put him on the outside, let him do his thing, then you put him in the inside to kind of help create those mismatches. I think Myles Murphy would be a sick combination with Grady Jerry. So Myles Murphy is a guy that I'm thinking. Like I said, Tyree Wilson, he's a violent ass rusher, man. It ain't pretty. It's not pretty. And I always say, when you look at Dean Pease, obviously he's retired now, but if you look at what Dean Pease preached with this team, is not a lot of wasted movement. Get after the quarterback. Don't do all that flipping and jumping, like Dante Fowler do, all that flipping, jumping, spin moves and all that. Look, just get after the damn quarterback. That's what Tyree Wilson does. Not pretty, but he gets the damn job done. So Tyree Wilson and Myles Murphy are the guys that I'm looking at right now. I will be looking at Felix tonight. I'm looking at Felix tonight. Hey man, I love, actually, like I said, man, I love the drafting process. Like I said, this year I really, I cleared up a lot of, I cleared up a lot of things. So you'll be able to get more draft things out of me now. Like I said, man, I love the draft, to be honest. Like I said, I'm gonna do a mock. I'm gonna only do the first 3 rounds. I'm not gonna do 7 rounds. I think it's pointless to do 7 rounds. So I'm gonna only do the first 3 rounds. I may do 5 in total, but stay tuned for the next mock draft. They're gonna be a little different. So we'll see. We'll go from there. But those mock drafts, I dropped one early this morning, so you guys might want to check that out. Yeah, Miko. Like I said, man, Miko Hardman. I really want him. I think he'll bring such a sick element to this Falcons offense, man. AK, Tyree, Grady, Payne would be a lethal. And like I said, man, this is the year. I think if you end up, I'm telling you right now, Falcons end up getting Payne, Tyree, and have Grady Jarrett. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I think you win the Super Bowl with this team, because now you have a sick defensive line that can get after the quarterback. But now you have Desmond, who's another year older. You have Kyle Pitts back, and obviously you're going to bring back a few players. You're going to add a few players to the offense. So I'm not going to say that the Falcons, if they go out and get a guy like Payne to go next to Grady Jarrett, and you get a young stud like Tyree Wilson, pair him with Ogundeji and AK-47, D'Angelo Malone, that's a nice rotation, bro. That's a nice rotation. And quite frankly, the only thing that the Falcons have really had their issues with is pass rush. The secondary, you still have the secondary. They're young, they're intact. You have Jalen, you have Richie, you have AJ Terrell, and then you can bring back an Isaiah Oliver. Now you're talking about a formidable defense. He bring back a Rashaan Evans. You have a young Troy Anderson. Yeah, you're talking about a nice little defense. Alex, Miko, that's exactly what we're talking about, versatility. The Falcons need another Cordero Patterson, because you don't know how long Cordero Patterson is going to be able to do it. So I think, in my opinion, Miko Hardman is going to be that next Cordero Patterson. It finally feels good. Yeah, it finally feels good to have money and talk about you can actually bring guys in now. And this is one of the reasons why I've said before, it's like, I think it's just absolutely, the general consensus is that, Arthur is a bad coach, and it's just not true. It's not much you can do when you don't have talent, bro. There's only so many passes you can call that's going to make guys play better. You can't make a undrafted free agent a superstar. He's an undrafted free agent for a reason. So you got to have talent. Now the Falcons have the ability to go out and get this talent and pay for the talent. And Sonya, the Falcons could make a playoff, be a playoff team. And like I said, all they need is a good defense. The Falcons are a solid defensive way and a solid pass rush in the way for being a Super Bowl contender. Because all you need in the NFL is a solid defense, a quarterback who's competent, and a great run game. And we know we have a great run game. So we able to stop other teams and sack their quarterback, put pressure on them. Yeah, we can beat anybody. Because we've already shown that we can beat the best teams. We took Tampa Bay to the wire. We beat them. We beat San Francisco. We took Baltimore, another playoff team. We took Baltimore, another playoff team, to the wire. So we've shown if we have the talent, we can play with the best of the best. So like I said, man, I don't like I said, I think it's pretty good whether or not the Falcons are. I think we're all happy at this point. What do you think about Drew Sanders, versatile linebacker? Like I said, I'll get to that. I haven't got to that yet. We're gonna sit down the next couple of days and really you may get a show about us next week. You may get a show out of the heavy hitters next week to go. As a matter of fact, I may look at those guys. You might get a short or two. You might get a couple of videos on some draft prospects the next couple of days. But like I said, man, you can't make a observation on a coach if he don't have talent. How do you know he's a good coach or a bad coach if he don't have the dang on talent? Like I said, you can't play with an Oompa Loompa at quarterback and expect the coach to be able to take him to a Super Bowl, to make him a Pro Bowler. Like, he's 5'5" for a reason. You know what I'm saying? He can only throw so far. He can only run so fast. He can only be so arrogant, so accurate. You can't play with a bunch of Stephen Mims on your team and expect your defensive coordinator to put up 50 sacks. It just doesn't happen. These guys are undrafted and late round draft picks for a reason. They're not very good. So the more money that you're able to get and the more the players that you draft to be able to bring them in, the better you be. But you can't expect, Arthur Smith and Dean Pease to be able to make, gold out of garbage. But like I said before, man, with that being said, I'm gonna end it. I may go, look, y'all may get a double hitter tonight from me. I might go live in a few to talk about a few prospects. Just depends on how things go. But we will have, should have a Hawks show tonight. So if you guys are Hawks fans, gonna give a breakdown on the Hawks. Actually, I'm gonna drop a Hawks video. I got something to say about, well, I probably won't do that. But the Hawks made a move earlier today. That a familiar player that we all remember, he is now the assistant general manager. So I'll drop that video as soon as this ends. So you guys, I appreciate you for joining us, man. This has been your boy, man, Mike. Continue to support him right tonight. Like I said, man, we got $80 million in salary cap. Now it's the time to have some fun, and let's be patient. It's about to get fun. I promise you guys. Like I said, all I got to say about that, continue to support your boy here at Mad Mike Sports. Love you guys. Always do good and try to at least tell one person a day something positive. That's all I got to say about that. I'm out, man. Peace.